On December 4th, protesters and sex trafficking survivors gathered outside the Thurgood Marshall Courthouse in New York City to demand justice for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Testimonies indicate that Epstein demanded sexual acts from women and girls up to 3 times a day. If true, that would be 1,068 acts of sexual violence a year, and with over at least 3 decades of Epstein's reported patterns of sexual abuse, that is over 32,000 instances of rape and sexual assault by Epstein alone. And 40 years later, there are 4 survivors in that courtroom that are accusing Maxwell of pimping. 4. One of the arguments used by prosecutors in the Maxwell trial is that Jeffrey Epstein cultivated a sexualized atmosphere at his home. If we, as a society, are not careful and don't truly listen to survivors, we too are cultivating a culture where we normalize sexual exploitation as harmless and benign. Everyone has a fundamental right not to be prostituted and sexually exploited.
The videos that Epstein apparently collected of his guests engaged in their sexual escapades with teenage and underage girls from the cameras he had installed in his opulent residences and on his private island have mysteriously disappeared, most probably into the black hole of the FBI, along with other crucial evidence. With Epstein dead and Maxwell sacrificed, the ruling oligarchs will once again escape justice. The conviction of Maxwell is not the end. The conviction of Maxwell is the beginning. The law firms, the high-priced attorneys, federal and state prosecutors, private investigators, personal assistants, publicists, servants, drivers, and numerous other procurers, sometimes women, who made Epstein's crimes possible are not being investigated. Those in the media, the political arena, and the entertainment industry who aggressively and often viciously shut down and discredited the few voices, including those of a handful of intrepid journalists.
Offenders like Jeffrey Epstein are surrounded by enablers like Ghislaine Maxwell, people who not only don't confront or report bad behavior, criminal behavior, but actually help the abuser get access to children to abuse.
Children deserve to have dreams, to laugh, to plan their futures.
We can do all of these things. They are not impossible. They take courage, they take a sense of responsibility, but it is possible. I mean, imagine what the world would be like if we prevented any more children from being abused. Imagine what that would be like.
The trafficking network was much like the Epstein trafficking network. It pandered kids to the rich and the powerful. It employed blackmail, and also it was covered up by major legal aberrations like we're seeing right there. That's going on with the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. The FBI came in, I had a list of 60 victims. The FBI came in and forced and threatened and coerced those victims to recant their accounts of abuse. But there was one young woman who refused to recant her accounts of abuse. She was 21 years old, and she was indicted on 16 counts of perjury because she refused to recant her accounts of abuse. She was trafficked as an adolescent, and she said, I was abused, and there's no way I'm going to recant my abuse. Ultimately, what happened to her, she was looking at 200 years for perjury. She was indicted by 2 grand juries, and she still refused to recant her accounts of abuse. A kangaroo court found her guilty and sentenced her between 9 and 15 years in prison because she wouldn't recant her accounts of abuse. And the authorities really tried to destroy her by putting her in solitary confinement for nearly 2 years. This is one of the most amazing acts of courage that I've come across in my life. And this woman's name is Alicia Owen, and she is our next speaker. Let's give her a hand.
This is pretty amazing.
Thank you for being here. Thank you. Bring that mic closer. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. This is pretty amazing. I want to thank each and every one of you because showing up today, not just for me, but it is so important for survivors to know that they're not alone.
That's right.
And there's a survivor community, and it is wonderful that survivors can get together and help each other and advocate for each other. But to know that there is a network of people that may not even understand their experience, but they love, they care, and they support you. That is important. A little bit, I know that Nick kind of gave me an introduction, and as I was listening to Chris speak, he started talking about the disparity between the abusers and the victims, and the resources that people have. Now, there's a couple of things that my case actually came to light in 1988, which we're talking way more than 30 years ago. I was called a liar. I was accused of, oh, you're only saying this to get attention. And by the way, this is the first time that I've ever been able to talk about this.
Woo! We love you! Yeah!
They tell the victims, you're just trying to get attention.
Right.
And if it's someone that is well known, oh, you're just doing it for book and movie deals. Or you're doing it so that you can sue and get money. The system has created an environment where they protect the abusers. I am no longer going to be just a survivor. I'm going to be a warrior.